Welcome back, friends, to Bipolar Talks, your mindful space for exploring the reality of living with bipolar disorder and other mental health conditions. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. And if you're returning, it's always good to have you back. Before we dive deep, we invite you to take a moment to center yourself. Maybe you're listening on a walk, in the car, or curled up at home. Wherever you are, we hope this episode meets you with compassion and insight. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast with someone who might benefit. Every click helps more people find this space and maybe feel a little less alone. Today's episode explores a fascinating and often romanticized question: the link between bipolar and creativity. Is there really a connection? And if so, what does it mean for those living with bipolar disorder? Let's mindfully begin. The idea that madness and genius are two sides of the same coin is not new. In fact, it dates back centuries. The ancient Greeks believed that creative inspiration came from a divine frenzy, what Plato called divine madness. Fast forward to modern times, and this belief persists, especially around bipolar disorder. From poets and painters to composers and comedians, many historical figures believed to have had bipolar disorder are also considered some of the greatest creative minds in history. But is that just a myth? Or is there actual scientific and psychological truth to this idea? Let's dig in. Before we go deeper, let's quickly ground ourselves in what bipolar disorder is. Bipolar disorder is a mental health condition characterized by extreme mood shifts, from episodes of mania or hypomania to deep depression. These shifts impact energy levels, thinking patterns, and behavior. There are different types, including bipolar I, bipolar II, and cyclothymic disorder. Bipolar I typically includes full manic episodes, which may involve elevated mood, grandiosity, racing thoughts, and risky behavior. Bipolar II includes hypomania, less intense but still very impactful, and depressive episodes that can be long-lasting. People with bipolar often describe their minds as running too fast during mania and feeling shut down during depression. So where does creativity fit into all of this? Numerous studies have attempted to explore this connection. One landmark study by K. Redfield Jamieson, a psychologist, researcher, and individual living with bipolar disorder herself, looked at 47 prominent British writers and artists. She found significantly higher rates of bipolar illness among this group compared to the general population. Another study out of Sweden looked at over 1 million people and found that those in creative professions, writers, dancers, photographers, and scientists, were more likely to have a family history of bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. Interestingly, the creative edge wasn't limited to people with a full diagnosis. Even people with subclinical traits, like high energy, mood variability, or divergent thinking, showed higher creativity. So, what's the mechanism here? What might actually be driving the connection? Let's start with the manic and hypomanic states. During mania or hypomania, individuals often experience increased energy, elevated mood, racing thoughts, heightened confidence, reduced need for sleep, all of which can contribute to a creative burst. Many describe this as a period where their mind becomes a firework. Ideas come rapidly, inspiration feels endless, and there's a sense of being in flow. They may write pages of poetry, compose songs, paint for hours, or conceptualize entire projects. One poet with bipolar once said, "I felt like I could touch the universe and then write it down." However, there's a shadow side. Mania can tip into chaos. Projects started may go unfinished. Judgment may be impaired. And the crash that follows depression can feel like the creativity was a dream they can't return to. So while mania may unlock the door to creativity, it doesn't mean it's sustainable or safe without support. It's tempting to only associate creativity with mania, but depression has its own connection. Some of the most profound pieces of art, literature, and music have emerged from the depths of sorrow. Depression slows down thought, yes, but it also deepens it. It allows for introspection, vulnerability, and emotional truth. Think of Vincent van Gogh, Sylvia Plath, Kurt Cobain, or Virginia Woolf, artists who not only created while struggling, but whose work reflected their inner landscapes. Depression can give voice to suffering in a way that resonates deeply with others. It may not be the productive type of creativity society celebrates, but it's a deeply human one. Now let's take a mindful step back from symptoms and look at traits, not just episodes. Some people with bipolar spectrum conditions have what's known as a cyclothymic temperament, a personality style marked by emotional intensity, mood variability, sensitivity, and openness to experience. These traits often correlate with creative thinking. Other personality traits often linked with creativity and bipolar include divergent thinking, seeing multiple solutions to a problem; intuition, picking up on patterns others miss; empathy, the ability to feel and express complex emotions; persistence, working on creative pursuits even through struggle. So while not everyone with bipolar is artistic, many do possess traits that support creative expression. This is a crucial part of our discussion. It's easy to fall into the trap of glorifying bipolar disorder as the price of genius. But this romantic narrative can be harmful. It risks ignoring the very real suffering involved: hospitalizations, broken relationships, financial instability, and suicidal thoughts. Creativity should never be seen as a justification for unwellness. Mania is not a magical state, it's a medical one. And the idea that treatment dulls creativity? That's also a myth. Many creatives fear that medication or therapy will kill their spark. But in reality, stability often enhances creativity. When the mind is grounded, there's more room for focus, consistency, and follow-through. Let's take a moment to center the voices of those living this reality. One writer with bipolar said, "Before treatment I had ideas, but I couldn't finish anything. Now that I'm stable, I can actually create." A musician described their manic phase as a storm of sound, but it was only through therapy and support that they turned it into an actual album. Another artist noted, "Depression gave me the language of pain, but recovery gave me the voice to speak it clearly." These stories remind us that creativity isn't confined to illness. It's something people carry with them, and can express even more powerfully when they are supported and safe. Absolutely. Let's be clear. You don't need a mental illness to be creative, and having one doesn't make you automatically more talented. Creativity comes from curiosity, discipline, emotional awareness, and the courage to take risks. Those with bipolar may have unique access to intense emotional states, but everyone, regardless of diagnosis, can be deeply creative. Bipolar is not the source of genius. It's just one lens through which the human mind can experience the world. And some people choose to express that through art, writing, music, or invention. If you're someone with bipolar who wants to harness your creativity in a safe and healthy way, here are a few mindful tips. 1. Know your patterns. Keep track of what times or moods spark creative energy, and what spirals you into burnout. 2. Create a structure. Use routines, deadlines, or creative rituals to anchor your work. 3. Stay connected. Find therapists, support groups, or creative communities that understand your journey. 4. Balance rest and work. Honor your need for recovery and avoid glorifying overwork. 5. Celebrate process, not just product. Creativity is not only about output, it's about expression, discovery, and healing. So, is there a link between bipolar disorder and creativity? Yes, in many ways. But it's complex. It's not a straight line from diagnosis to genius. It's a mosaic of biology, personality, emotion, trauma, and expression. Some find their artistic voice because of bipolar. Others find it despite it. And still others don't relate to that link at all. What matters most is honoring your story, your mind, and your path. If you're creative and you're living with bipolar, know this: your voice matters. Your art matters. And your health matters. If this episode resonated with you, mindfully take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, and share it with others. You never know who might need to hear that they're not alone on this journey. We'll be back soon with more episodes diving into the realities of bipolar disorder, always with curiosity, compassion, and truth. Until then, this is Bipolar Talks. Be kind to your mind. Disclaimer: this YouTube video is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult a licensed mental health professional for diagnosis, treatment, or personal support.